Osmosis. Back at it again. This time showing how Trump is for black people. Like, what are y'all not seeing? Let's get into it.
This afternoon, one that we can focus on the 34 million Americans, like myself, who's living with diabetes, 7 million of which need insulin to live. 25% of these individuals have told us that they ration or skip doses of their medicine because they simply cannot afford it. And so this effort, CMI, MMI demonstration project that brings together the government, industry, and public health advocacy from the American Diabetes Association is the right thing to do, and we're thrilled to take this challenge head on. Today, together, we are helping millions of seniors access insulin affordably. This is a very big deal. The American Diabetes Association is the nation's leading organization that fights for people living with diabetes, and we are committed to continue to partner to make sure every American, and especially our seniors, have access to the medicine that they need to live. So thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Administrator Verma.
So, Tracy, are you surprised at how much we've gotten the price down, to what extent, and to the level that we brought it down to?
This is a very exciting day for people living with diabetes, and so any step to bring this lower is a good news. We know that we need to do more, but I'm so confident that together we are going to be able to help all people living with diabetes thrive.
Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Tracy.
I want you to tell me why you decided to endorse President Trump and what kind of reaction you got.
It was very clear my support of President Trump. Two things. One, the strong leadership, and two, the results. President Trump gets results, and I've had to run a government as a county executive, and I know what it means to get things done. And just like you, and you were the chief executive, we got things done, so we can appreciate someone like the president who not just talk the talk, but walk the walk.
Affordable insulin, they can live a long and healthy life. And that's what we're here for today. Today is a very important day. It is a monumental day because, Tracy, we've been working for years to try to address the price of insulin. For years. This is an important day, and I want to thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank all the people here for making that insulin affordable to more people.
It has made permanent the funding for historically black colleges and universities for the first time in America's history. It's this administration that has reversed the damages done by the 1994 crime bill with the First Step Act. It was President Trump that signed that legislation into law. It was President Trump and this administration that decided to work with me on opportunity zones to bring $75 billion from the private sector into the poorest communities in this nation, closing the wealth gap. So what I'm suggesting here is I would love the opportunity to put record versus record, because if we do that, African Americans will be voting independently, some for President Trump, some for Vice President Biden.
Quit. I mean, don't elect progressive Democrats if you want to be safe. That's the message of tonight. Every one of these cities is controlled by people with idiotic policies, friendly to criminals, constantly friendly to criminals, and completely unfriendly to law-abiding citizens, whether they're white, black, Hispanic. They are the worst thing that can happen to African-American communities, people like this, because they suffer more than anyone else. And what they've done for the last 20 or 30 years in these communities is outrageous. And a lot of these politicians who have run these communities, their families have become millionaires. They're also crooks, a lot of them.
And these communities may never come back.
You know, Charlie Rangel in Harlem. Charlie Rangel in Harlem all those years, he ends up a millionaire. And what happens to Harlem? Bernie and I have to clean it up.
Where they're more radical, they're more leftist, they're more socialist, and black people have got to stop and get woke, if you will, and see what's really going on.
Nonsense. It sounds like they're pretty worried about having to defend 8 years of what Barack Obama failed to do. to contain the threat to America from the Chinese Communist Party.
Do you think China would prefer, all things considered, Biden to win in November?
I can tell you this, the president's going to make sure that we protect the American people from the threats that the Chinese Communist Party presents to the United States. I saw none of that during the Obama-Biden years.
The New York
For this?
Well, Mike, first of all, what are they going to do? Spank me? I mean, it's the issue here is the Democratic Party does not have room under its tent, supposedly inclusive tent, for independent thinking and conservative Black men and women. And what I've done is really just expose the bigotry that has been going on all along with this party.
Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
President Trump for re-election.
President Trump has a clear message in terms of what he's done for our clear track record. He's created jobs. He's helped small businesses. He's cut taxes. He's allowed us to America not to be taken for granted by these foreign countries and making them pay their fair share, but to bring it back home specifically. I was born and reared in the South. I mentioned to you about that, but I went to a historical white college, North Carolina Central University. I'm a proud graduate for what he did to not only restore funding, but to go and write it into law. Also, the criminal justice reform. You can see where Joe Biden wrote the crime bill that disproportionately put many Blacks in jail and in prison. They were separated from their families. They lost everything. And President Trump has come with the First Step Act that allowed them, nonviolent, first-time offenders along that category, to get back out, be reunited with their families, and at the same time go on and live productive lives. And also opportunity zone districts. A lot of African-American communities have been hit by the blight, and this allows them to have revitalization of those neighborhoods and investments and tax breaks for business people, including African-Americans. So President Trump has left no group behind. Everybody's prospered under President Trump's administration.
She say she independent, trying to touch a million, trying to see 70. Come here, little mama, can you do it on the dance floor? Wait, let's try to grinding up and down the street. We know baby, give it over and then you touch me. And my boys wondering, can you twerk us now, twerk us up?